nobody's been up here, or we haven't been up here in so long. There's cobwebs everywhere. So I just said lobby. Okay, they have 4 units. They have a kitchen one. That's gonna be where the registers are. And then they're supposed to have 2 for the front. Yeah. So it said lobby. I'm gonna think it's one of these. It's not working. But they're all on. That one feels cold. This one's warm. And just to make sure, this one's warm. So the front one feels cold and it's calling because there's a condenser fan on. So let's dive into that one. So yeah, I can hear the compressor, everything's calling. Don't feel any cold from the suction line. Let's take a look at the evaporator. The TXV is cold, but the evaporator's not. So we're probably low on charge. Find anything, because there's some oil traces here and there. It is an old unit though. Check high. You know what? I'm gonna check it from down here. So we are dealing with 410 and it's extremely low. So I don't think we had anything coming out of the caps. There's a little bit of oil here, which I don't like. This is all there, but let's bust out the leak detector. Let's see if we get a hit. I just realized something. I'll show you guys right now. I think we got a leaking coil, but it's gonna be like a small leak. I have to put it on high to kind of get it. So up there in that area, there was a lot of oil. There's probably like a little leak on one of the bends. I think I have to pressurize it to get it. I can't tell how much pressure there is though, because I was like, man, I never got a low side rating. So these are Coremax fittings, if you guys didn't know. You see how it's the port and then this big old piece right here. Doesn't look like this. This is a regular, just straighter fitting that I can remove and replace the core. This is not, you gotta replace the whole thing. But I never got a reading, like I said. This side I had very low pressure anyway. Where is my core? think that's a leak. And then I looked down real quick and I found it. So this is what's in a Coremax fitting. It's not a Schrader, it's just a pin. I'm definitely gonna keep this because we might replace, well, I have to replace this. The only thing is I'm not gonna have this. But let me pressurize. No, I can't. All right, guys, so how would I even recover this? I can recover what I can, and then I'm gonna have to unscrew this. So we can just, the only place I can hook up is here. So I have to see if I can even get these. It's after 5 on a Friday. There's no way I can get one right now. But I'm curious, does this go back in? It's doing something. Nah, I don't think I can. No, I'm not even gonna mess with it. Last thing I need is for this whole refrigerant to leak out. So I'm actually gonna check, because Johnstone has an app where I can check their stock and stuff, since nobody's there right now to answer anyway. Like I said, they do have 4 ACs. They're gonna have to live with it down. They won't pay overtime. I already know that. And I don't know, I don't think they get a lot of people eating in anyway. It's a fast food place that is it's like 90% drive-through. So plan, find that Coremax, recover, replace, and pressure test for that, because if they want, they buy their own equipment. So if this is leaking, more than likely they're just gonna get a new unit. But we'll see what they want to do. Obviously it's not leaking out like 100%. We still do have a decent amount of refrigerant. It's more than half, I think. So I don't know, they might want me to top it off, and then they will order it anyway. That's usually what happens when it's not down completely. It's usually like, hey, top it off, or quick fix it until we can get a unit out, because, you know, sometimes there's back order stuff, so might still be worth getting them by for a little bit. Those wires look horrible. I don't think I've ever worked on this one. And the reason I don't carry these is because usually it's under pressure. They are leaking 99% of the time. So we put a service port on top of it, like a swivel with a T, or now I carry the single ones. Because usually they're leaking. I've never had one just pop like that on me. So I choose to put something over it instead. Never had one that I absolutely have to replace. Like this one, I absolutely have to replace it because I have no other suction port. That's the only one, I'm pretty sure. I'll double check, but usually on the trains it's usually you got one in the dryer, a discharge, and then one suction. So Johnstone actually does have it in stock. I saw that they have the 3-pack. I will get that and have some extra now just in case. I've never seen that happen, but now I know. And they'll have to wait till Monday though. So we're gonna replace that, I think, for now. Recommending a new unit, definitely. And you guys will see this when I get back. All right, so we're back. Brought up the Vito bag. Got some stuff here. I still got to bring up the recovery machine. And we're gonna tap in here and make sure this is tapped right. I've never worked on this one. I'm not gonna do too much with anything else. We're just gonna recover what we can, basically off the high side, since I don't have a low side. That's one we're gonna replace. Got our Coremax fittings there. Torque it down to spec. Use some nylog. Easy repair. It's just gonna be a little time consuming because I gotta recover since I can't do it under pressure, but that gives me a chance to weigh what I take out. That's why I have the scale. And let's see, I don't think I have any labels. I can kind of read it. We'll see how much it's supposed to have versus what I take out. It's a single stage, and we know the evaporator is leaking, but I want to know if it all leaked out, half of it leaked out, a little bit leaked out. Is it worth topping off all that? But more than likely they're going to get a new unit. This thing is pretty old. I don't know if it's worth replacing the coil, because then we got to get into here. This is all, I'm not touching it today, but this all needs to be ripped out. If I take this off, I'm pretty sure it's pitted. Same with that one. And the wiring needs to be cleaned up. Probably could use a new capacitor. The motor's working, I wouldn't change it out, but it's like super rusted out, so not a good sign. It's just, all in all, it's just old. All right, so I got the rest of the stuff that I need for now. We're going to tap in so we can run the recovery. And we're using a cheater cord. If you guys are interested in how I use this safely, or in my opinion safely, I do have a video on it. It's like a little training video on different scenarios to use this on, commercial and residential, as long as you have 120 208. So we disconnected the transformer on this one so that we do not engage the contactor and let power or two phases go through on the compressor, because we're stealing one. So as long as nothing energizes, we're good. All right, so this is actually a 240 system. I usually only have 208, so we got 240 on all legs, and first one to ground gives me 208. The other two give me 115, so I had to change to the second leg. That's why I always check. So now we have 117, 116. I had to grab the second leg though. The first one was giving me 208 to ground. So as long as we're safe, we're good. All right, so I'm just gonna weigh the tank before and after, so I don't have to do it while I'm recovering. So hold up. Make sure it's flat. Let's try and zero that out again. Okay, so now we're gonna weigh it, which, damn it, I already have a lot of 410. Okay, so we're at 24 pounds. The tank itself weighs 17. So I really only have about 7 pounds in here. This is a 9-pound unit. So I'm gonna start taking it out. I probably will still leave the, well, if we have 7, well, even if we pull out 9 pounds, we're still safe on this tank in particular. So, because you never want to go over 80% of the pounds it can take. the full weight inside, because then the rest of it is for vapor expanding. So we're gonna be good on 80%, so I can recover the whole thing, even though I know this is not gonna have 9 pounds. It's probably gonna be half of that or something. So we have quite a bit of pressure in there, so it's not like something where it leaks everything out. So just remember to purge here. So I already did that. It's kind of hard to do it one-handed, but because I have these thick hoses, so purged it up to here while it's in recovery, and we can start. Just make sure this is open all the way. This should be very quick. All right, so close off the gauges. It shut off, it's automatic. Now we're going to purge. That's just for what's left in the recovery and the hoses. Purge out, empty out everything into the cylinder, which should only take a minute. See? After that, we can close off. Get a little burst, and we're empty all the way back. I did zero it out before I took the tank off the scale, so now when I put it on, it should give me the difference. And we had about 1.5 pounds. So we don't have much in there. Let's see what a vacuum does. Goes. I hooked up everything ready to go for the vacuum. We just got to replace this. Now, considering we only had 2 pounds, I'm pretty sure some of it leaked through here. Now, just for a quick demo. Oh, I turned it off. Turn it back on. I can hear it. And there's a suction there, so that could be the reason we don't have any refrigerant. So this is leaking for sure, so we're gonna remove it from right here, get this piece out. I'll inspect it, I'll keep it on me with the little pin so we can look at that later. And that's why it only having the 1 to 2 pounds. I can't condemn the unit. I'm probably only gonna do a decay test to see if it holds. I'm not gonna bring the nitrogen up here today. We're not soldering or anything, or brazing. So we're gonna take a look at that. I'm pretty sure the evaporator is gonna be like a super slow leak, and it's gonna be one of those things we get them by. Definitely getting a recommendation on either a new coil or a new unit, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna need a new unit. Not as hard as I thought. So here's our old one. And here's our new one. It's gonna go in, we're gonna torque it down. And you can see the pin came out and it's just gonna leak by. So on this one, we're gonna use a little nylog. I put that on everything. Like so. And then we're gonna put it in real quick. And then I just wanna make sure it's torqued down. On their website, it's about 8 foot-pounds. So let's just do 8.1. Go back to 0. these are tight. And remove my cap, because I started capping this for storage because I had the oil, and which it's already all over the place, spilling out. Now it can spill out in your van, or it can spill out when you're roping it on the roof, so that's why I capped it, to kind of prevent that. Somebody did mention to me, and my oil is clean today, that they rather empty it out after every use so that it forces them to change it every time, right? So they don't store it with oil, they don't have that spillage problem, and then they use new oil every time. I've considered it, but the fact that I run multiple calls sometimes with the pump, and they're smaller systems, I don't want to be changing it out every single time, because I work on reach-ins sometimes, small walk-ins. I don't want to be changing them out, especially if the oil didn't get contaminated or anything. So we'll see how quickly this goes. All right, so I didn't let it run that long. Let's do the decay real quick. Gonna zero this out. It hasn't moved but a couple of microns. Purged out the 3/8 because it's hard to do with one hand. Did it off camera. And we got this going. And now we are at 0 here, so let's start weighing that in. Let's just see how much it takes. Unit turned on, and we can get this going. I don't know what the hell happened. I don't know if I did something wrong. But usually, you depress it. Or it's easy to depress, right? I can do it with my finger on that one. This one won't depress at all. If I put it in, I put one of these in, like a hose to it, I can feel it move. No pressure. And it just bends to the sides. Like, what the hell did I do wrong? I'm not doing all that again, dude. So let me order that tool that we need and just do it that way. But it is working. I was able to get almost 7 pounds in there. It calls for 9, so they're gonna have cooling for now. Just mark how many pounds I need left to charge. And I should have just put in a regular Schrader. And it's satisfied already, so I'm gonna go double check. I know they have it set to 75, it was around there, so I'm pretty sure it's satisfied. And I just realized something, I'll go over that in a minute. All right, so for anybody, or I guess anybody who's still watching, but for anybody who cares about what happened, let me explain. So, okay, I've never replaced a Coremax fitting. So that was my first attempt at replacing them. I usually just cap them or put a port over it because they are leaking. I've never had one pop. So we had to replace it. We recovered and everything. Now, a majority of my leak came from that Coremax. You could see the oil had splattered onto the compressor suction line there, and it was in the direction of the Coremax. So that's where most of my charge went. And we charged it up. Nothing showed any signs of big leaks or anything, except the evaporator coil is going to have micro leaks. When I took out that Coremax fitting and I compared it to a new one, I was just blind. I was probably tired. I mean, this is HVAC. There's no excuses for, mistakes or overlooking things. But all these calls that you've been seeing for the past few weeks are back to back or in the same day. And if you saw my last video with the roaches, I was tired as hell. So this was, I believe, the next day. Or, yeah, I think it was the next day or something like that. And I also was checking the freezer. Now, I didn't show the freezer because it was a simple switch, termination switch. And I did shoot some stuff, but I might save that for a switch video that I want to do on like safety switches and stuff. So other than that, I was going up and down a lot, checking the, like I said, the freezer also. And I didn't notice that when I put the Coremax fittings next to each other that the old one was missing the gasket and the whole bottom piece. So that part got stuck. When the pin popped, it must have blown the gasket in, and that was the suction line, so it was pulling it back in probably. And it got jammed. So when I went to vacuum, I didn't notice it. When I went to charge, I was charging through the high side, so I got about 85% of my charge in. It calls for like 9 pounds. I got like 7-ish pounds. Then I noticed I never got a low side reading, so, or I think I tried to put some in and it stayed there, so I was like, I'm not depressing or anything, and I noticed that the pin kept I couldn't push it in, it kept moving over, so I was like, is it defective? But then I looked at it again and I'm like, crap, I left a piece of the Coremax in there. Now I could have, and I was going to recover again and fix it properly. Basically do the call all over again. I was dead tired by that point, at least for that part of the day, you know. I needed a lunch and all that, so I could not stay because I had a lot more calls. So I kind of made the call. Of course, I told my dad too, and I kind of made the call to leave it alone. We got, like I said, around 85% of the charge in, or whatever, and it was cooling, and it was sweating. Like, I had superheat, and I had everything pretty good. I was just missing like the top off charge. So I don't know if it's going to struggle. We'll see how it does. But that was my mistake. I kind of screwed up, which is probably going to be the title, that I messed up, but it still worked. I'm not perfect. I'm not like Chris over on HVACR videos, who is like on point with everything. Even when he says he makes mistakes, his stuff is like above and beyond. But I make mistakes. I overlook things sometimes, so that's something I did. It worked, so we left it alone. Considering that it's an old unit that's kind of beat down, and with that leaking evap, this is a customer that most likely will just buy a new unit. So we're gonna leave it at that. Recommended a new unit for the leaks, because they're not gonna want us to put a new evap with the shape that it's in, because like I said in the video, I have to do a lot of other repairs to the electrical. We're probably gonna have to swap out contactors, maybe the motor. I'm sure, I don't remember looking at it, but usually the blower motors are in a horrible shape, just because they get abused and used a lot. So considering all that, it wasn't worth doing a double repair, like trying to go back and do it over. So we left it at that. It's actually working. I didn't leave them without AC. If it would not have worked or been cooling, I would have done the work again, either after lunch or on like the next day. I would have made it right, which is what I do. If I screw up, I make it right. But it's gonna get them by. When they get a new unit, we'll put it in for them. They know it's not worth that many repairs. And yeah, it happens sometimes. Don't worry about it. I don't care if you guys call me out on stuff. I have explanations, and I'll tell you why I did things. It is what it is. Like, we're not going to be perfect all the time. I will do as much right as I can, and then every now and then I have to make a hard decision on things. Like, is it worth doing this or whatever? So, I mean, the customer understands. Just be honest with the customer, all that. Tell them, you know, what's going on. And, you know, you learn, and you're better the next time. That's all that you can That's all that you can do. So now I know better when I replace Coremax fittings. I need to be aware of if it came apart or anything. And yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed the video. Trying to keep it real with you guys. And sorry if I rambled on, but I will see you on the next one. I got a lot of stuff coming up and a lot of tools to review. I'm getting backed up on videos. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys.